Hang on. Hey.
Welcome to the first episode of Wondrula. So, if you found this channel through Facebook, then you've been my friend for a long time and you know exactly what we're doing here. If you stumbled across this not from Facebook, welcome. And in this thread series of videos, we're going to be building an entire tiny house. And this is going to be a 32-foot by 11-foot 6 interior, so a 12-foot exterior. And yeah, I debated on whether or not we're gonna do a very detailed video on this, kind of explaining like every part and piece, or whether or not to do a, you know, just kind of like a show build, I guess you'd say. But I think we're gonna kind of do it a little more detailed for anybody that's building a tiny house and they can do a very similar size. But if not, if it's a different size, you can kind of get the gist of it and see exactly kind of what we're doing here. So this is my brother Michael. He's the one that's going to be helping me today, actually throughout most of this build. So I've somehow convinced him to sell his house, buy land he's never been to a place he's never really been, to build a house when he's never really built, in a place far, far away from here. So a lot of unknowns, but he's got some faith in me, I guess. But no, he actually bought land right across the street from mine where we're building our future. So he's out here gonna learn as much as he can to start building his own, and then we're all moving out there to build away. So it'll be lots of fun, but he's gonna be in all the videos, so it might be hard to decipher us too much apart.
Yeah,
I'm definitely better looking, but he's taller, so that's like a getter for most people. But no, so right now we're getting ready to cut all the joists that I was mentioning earlier. So I just made a quick jig so we can cut all of these at 11-foot 6. And like I said, we got to cut, how many did I say?
72, I think.
72?
There's 72 sticks of wood.
Oh, 72 sticks of wood. I think it was like all together divided by 3. So
yeah.
that's how many we have to cut, but that's not how many beams we're assembling. So, and like I said, this is what we're doing here. We're assembling 2 on top and then 1 on top, and this is just 2x4s, which makes this a 3x5, which is different wood grains. And then when we place these wood grains together, we're going to face them together to make kind of somewhat of an oval, and the top grain will always be a dome. And the reason that is for watershed, but also strength, and I'll explain that in another video, where when you're choosing 2x4s, you want to get ones with the tightest rings and ones without knots in the middle. That's super important on when you're picking out lumber. And maybe I'll just do that real quick to kind of explain that. So here, something that you wouldn't want to get is this guy here. And the reason is because that is gonna bow real bad, because the center of that tree is right in the middle of that. Another one you want to stay away from is ones with big rings. And that means that that tree grew really fast and didn't have time to completely get its solid thickness. If you pick this board up and you weigh it with a board like this with very tight rings, this board will probably be twice the weight of this one. Again, this one's not good. You're gonna have all the cracking here. You know, you got your knots. So I try to stay away from these, but we have this whole stack, so we're just gonna use what we can. And then the ones that are too bad, we're just gonna use as blocking But anyways, so when you're picking out 2x4s, that's stuff to look for. A lot of people don't know. Also, when you're placing your 2x4s down, you know, naturally you're gonna wanna set it the way it's sitting now, because water will shed off instead of seep in and then swell these up. So just something to think about. But anyways, we're gonna set this up and then cut 72 of these and start assembling. So it's gonna be fun. You ready, Mike?
I'm fucking ready.
Those 2x4s, we got 72 cut at 11'6". So now we got to assemble these into studs real quick, which we're going to show you how we're going to do that. So let's get started. All right, so what we're doing here is we got 3 2x4s, and this is going to make one of our floor joists. So we got grain going this way, grain going this way, and on the top you want the grain going down. So these grains are going to push into each other if they ever decide to warp down the road. This grain's going to always have watershed go off with the grain, rather than if this was turned around, the water would go into the grain and pool here, cause this to warp like hell. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a couple dabs of subfloor glue, kind of nothing crazy. They're gonna be nailed like crazy together. So plus these aren't going to be moving very much, so it's kind of hard to do this. I should make you hold this, actually. Actually, I'll make you do that. Yeah, just kind of step them. I gotta be better about making people do stuff. If you set it straight up more down, yeah, then you can drag it. And then on the end here, just do a couple. Good. Cool. Yeah, and then we'll stand these up together. Actually, go to that end. We'll flip this one on top of it. And then, is it flat against itself?
Yep.
Lined up?
Yep.
Cool. You want to grab the nail gun and do your first nail over this beam so it doesn't kick back on you. That way it kind of kicks it. Perfect. And then do one over here. Just right here on the beam. That way it holds it, because if not, you'll know when there's nothing below it, it bounces. So what I do when I'm nailing is I'll do one right here on the edge. See. And then I usually go a whole length of the gun.
Oh, right.
So what I'll do again, but then not only will I do that, but I'll do what's called stagger. I'll put one here,
and then one over
and then
there.
well, yeah, but I won't go too far to the edge. I'll go, and then yeah, right there. If you fall on a knot, just go in front of the knot a little bit. It's not a big deal. Perfect. Yeah, and then we'll set this one. And you can line up one side or the other, or just center it, but let's just center it out. And then this one. Yeah. And you can get that end lined up. And then, yeah, is that one kind of tweaked?
This one feels kind of tweaked.
Oh, that's not too, oh, that's because it is that low, but sticking out there because I didn't hold it down hard enough. And bam. now we got a pretty good beam. So we got to do, what was it? How many? 26, 24, 23? It was a mini. It was a lot of a minis. Maybe it was 32.
We have to do 32 times 3.
Oh, okay, so it is 32. Sorry, I just set this. Cool. That's a beam. So we'll center them. Once we get them on the frame, we'll center them out, and then we'll do our perimeter, which those 2x6s. So, all right, now we just got to assemble all these. Alright guys, so we just got all of the floor joists made and somewhat kind of placed. We didn't exactly do anything too permanent just yet because we're going to change a few things, but get a better look at it here is so what we did is we put the both end joints in on each edge of the trailer, and we measured the distance for the overhang to make sure it's even on each side, and then we clamped this one down, and then we did the same at the end piece here on the back of it. So we made sure that this was overhanged off the trailer the exact same amount as it was over there. We clamped it, and then to square all of these joists straight down with each other, you run a mason's line from one board on a screw all the way down to the next, and then you can grab your boards and slide them to meet the line and get a perfect line, and did the same on the other side. This one still, we haven't fully completely leveled them out, but that is the base of the tiny house. So it's going to be, I think, overall 12 foot wide on the exterior, and will be 11 foot in the interior, because you got to take up the displacement of the wall studs, the interior wall and the exterior wall with the siding. So that ends up taking about 6 inches away from your overall floor space, but so far that's what we got. Pretty cool. So we just got we had to go to the store and get a 100-foot tape, just because my 30-footer tapes ain't gonna measure this. But what we got to do is we got to measure from this corner to the opposite corner, find the measurement of that, and then we're gonna go from that corner to that corner, and we're gonna square this entire base up by, if we need to move this way a little bit or outwards in that one, just to make it a complete square. So we're gonna run these real quick. So all right, so here's what it looks like fully fully done, spaced out. We got foot at 16 on center. Actually, the reason why we did it this way is because these are gonna sit a little thicker than the average stud, so we got to compensate for that. We squared everything up, got everything ready to rock, so we're squared down the edge. So now we're gonna get the 2x6 that we got on top of that, and we're gonna run 2x6 all around this, and from there we'll run the insulation in and then do the tongue and groove 3/4, and we'll glue each individual one down all the way down, and then that'll give us our base. We're gonna put the insulation in and kind of set it in place, and then probably, I don't know, here in the next couple weeks I'll get underneath and do a type of plastic board to screw to the belly to hold all the insulation in, seal it all off, and that way it's underneath is all perfect. But we'll get to that. So sorry, the camera died. It got overheated. It's like 98 degrees or something like that here, so I didn't realize it died while I was talking. So anyways, I'll show you what we ended up getting done. So we went ahead and completely squared out, and now we have the base. As of right now, it's not bolted to the frame at all. It's just kind of sitting here, so it's not going to move anywhere while we at least do a few more things. Because what I want to do is we're going to put the insulation down, then the OSB, and then I'm going to bolt through the OSB into this down, so it's holding the OSB and then all of the joists here. And so I think we're gonna get nasty with the insulation. I'll see if this will not get overheated. So we didn't record some of it just because it's really hot, the camera gets overheated. So, but we started doing insulation. We had to add some bracing in just so while we're building this, it holds it up. All right, it's really hot out here, like 100 degrees. So we got the first boards down. Still got the rest to do, but or at least getting some ground. We got an overhang. Instead of trying to cut it and then place it, I'm just gonna place it all, snap a line, or I'll just use the router and a flush bit and just router this beast completely straight. As you could tell through some of this video, we ended up having a ton of problems with the footage. We lost a lot of, I don't know, the cameras kept getting overheated, and I mean, it was about 102 degrees, so that day was pretty hot. So I didn't stop the video as much as I'd like and kind of explain a few things on the platform of this, and there are a few things that we decided to change on how we're going to do the subfloor. This is actually going to have kind of a two-part subfloor, where if you saw the way we laid down the original subfloor that goes over the insulation, technically that's incorrect on how you lay subfloor. You want to stagger it so you never have four corners meet, but it's not such a big deal on this one because this is just one of two subfloors. There's going to be the subfloor that you saw us lay down, which is this.
Then we're framing the walls, which that's actually next episode. Kind of wasn't able to get the episode out in time that I wanted to do, so, but this is a good representation of how we're doing this. So we have the wall, we have the first subfloor. We're gonna frame the entire unit, the entire tiny house. We're gonna frame all the walls, and so technically you're gonna have, you know, a wall here. And let me grab another 2x4. Okay, so let's just say this guy here is the exterior wall. That's a stud going up, and this is the other stud going up. Maybe this stays. What we're gonna have here, tripod out, is now that we have this wall, all the walls in, what we're gonna do is we're gonna run 2x4s flat, just like this, down every 16 inches, all the way down the length of this. And the reason we're doing that is I'm going to hide all of the electrical and all of the water supply lines in the floor and run that throughout, rather than running all my electrical in the walls through each stud, all the plumbing through each stud. I would rather have everything in the floor. And there's gonna be people who are gonna say that's a stupid idea, but I have my reasonings. One is going to be, I am able to hide everything in the floor and not weaken the walls. I'll never run the risk of running a screw or a nail into any of the electrical or plumbing when I'm putting on the siding and the interior wall. I won't have to worry about that. I won't have to put stop plates. With the floor, with putting it in the floor, I'm never going to be running screws into the floor after we put the subflooring down, which I won't have a problem of accidentally running a nail through that when we put that secondary subfloor in that goes over everything. And then with the flooring, we're using a vinyl plank, and that's just a free floating floor, so there's no nailing or screwing that down. But also, when we do that secondary subfloor, there's going to be the width of a 2x4 gap, a void in between the whole floor. That's going to be a great insulation barrier for any kind of for heating and cooling. So with our current tiny house that we live in now, I wish I would have done that. So maybe down the road I'll do a video of our tiny house. I'll walk through. There is a section where in the kitchen from the living room there is a void, so it's a step up, so it's not all one level. There's actually a step inside, and there's a big void in there that I ran a lot of plumbing and electrical in prior. And in the winter time, you can definitely tell the floor in the living room is directly to the insulation, which is to the outside, and that floor gets pretty cold. And then if you step on the kitchen floor, is a lot warmer, and in fact it's sometimes 20-30 degrees difference, even though I have 4 inches thick of solid block foam down there. So it even still gets cold, that cold. It still gets that cold, even with that much insulation. So, and from there, when we lay that subfloor, we will stagger it. So you'll start, you know, one section 8-footers, and then when we start back at the beginning with the next section, we'll cut one in half at 4. Kind of like when you run tile, you start a full piece and then you cut one in half for the next line, and then you never have corners meet, because you never want corners to meet. In fact, looking at this brick wall, it's staggered, half, 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 so each block goes to the half width of the next block. So kind of the same concept. So I knew there were going to be people kind of throwing a fit about how I laid that original subfloor. I'm going to be running more 2x4s down and more subfloor, which cost effectively, no, you wouldn't technically do this if you're trying to build something on a budget. It's a lot more work to do a whole nother floor, but I think what you get out of it in insulation properties and what you get out of it in just simplicity of running all your wiring, all your plumbing, it just, to me, it makes more sense than running wiring through anything else, especially through studs, because then I would have to run a hole saw through each stud, which isn't a big deal. I mean, it's pretty simple, pretty easy to do, but I never liked it. Plus, you know, if your water supply lines are in the wall, you have a 2x4 thickness in the wall, and then the floor is actually 2x6 plus the next set of 2x4s and the next set of OSB that's going to go on top of that. So your R value on your floor is insane compared to the walls. Not to mention, this will be skirted, so when this gets set up to wherever it ends up, you're going to be putting skirting down, and the skirt will keep wind from flowing underneath. And kind of just like a trailer house works the same way, where, you know, you don't have to you know, worry about pipes freezing. They do freeze on super cold winters, but even with like our tiny house, we just run heat tape on the water supply line and heat tape on the water discharge lines, and it's thermostated, so if it gets cold it clicks on, and you really never have an issue with freezing. At least we've never had one yet. A big thing is if the plumbing's in the wall, since it's less R value, you're more likely to have freezing problems, and I'd rather not do that. Now, hopefully you never have a pipe burst, but if you did, I would rather rip up floor than start tearing apart walls, because floor to me is a lot easier, just from all my years of remodels and houses that were in floods, houses that burnt down. To me, I'd rather rip up a floor than ever rip walls apart. Plus, the way this floor will be built, it will be very easy to remove the planking for the vinyl flooring and cut the subfloor out, have the secondary subfloor. But, you know, people argue that, and my response to that is go make your own YouTube channel and build stuff the way you want to, and then you know, maybe I'll watch your stuff. I don't know. I don't really care what people think. So there's always going to be a lot of people who find and nitpick every single thing I do, and I don't really care that much to fight or argue with people. But I will listen. There are, you know, I've been building most of my life, but that doesn't mean I know everything. So if somebody gives me a good pointer, then heck, I'll take it. So, but anyways, so I didn't get a whole lot of explanation of building the floor. I have to be really better about stopping and explaining everything that I'm doing, and I have a hard time with that. I just get in the role, and then before I know it, you know, I've built a whole wall. So but anyways, we'll take a little walk here. Now, like I said, that we got the footage of this for next episode. But as far as all the flooring here, we are completely glued, screwed, and insulated. And like I had mentioned, this down here, I have to, which was, it's actually right here, this is 1/4 inch, and I was hoping to find the plastic version, the plastic board. It's kind of a double-walled corrugated board, but they didn't have any in stock, and I've used this before. I try not to use wood on the bottom of these, mostly just because of moisture problems, but if this is set up and everything will be built correctly, it'll be fine. But I'm gonna cut those and we're gonna screw that to the bottom of this, which will hold all the insulation, and then I have to do it underneath the entire tiny house, which it'll be a pain in the butt. I should have done that before I did the insulation, but you know, maybe next time I won't do that. So, but yeah, we got quite a huge platform here to work on. Now, we've changed the design of this tiny house probably 10 times up until this point. We're building the roof, my least favorite, but when it comes down to cost and simplicity, it really is a hard one to beat. I don't particularly care for slant roofs. To me, they look like sheds. But if you build them correctly and you have the correct windows up high, you can actually make these look really nice, especially if your siding is correctly done. And if you do that, like, you know, not just this boring siding that goes all the way down, it won't look so bad. But we opted to do this one solid slant all the way across. That, I believe, is 10'6", and then we have a 9-foot wall under here. Now, these huge windows, I ended up getting brand new for a really good deal, and I mean, these windows are ridiculously large, but I thought they'd be super nice in a tiny house. And then we got an 8-foot door that's a big picture window frame. An 8-foot door is insane on a tiny house. You do the typical 80-inch door, but so technically this is the bedroom. And there's actually a hallway right here. You'll walk in. Bathroom will be this huge area. You'll have a washer and dryer, linen closet, and you'll walk into the bedroom. Coming out here, a big queen bed here, and then this whole wall will be all closet space and maybe spot for a big TV. But I think, you know, after living in our tiny house for 4 years, having windows makes it not feel like a cave. And I wish I'd have done more windows in certain areas, but for the bedroom, having a 7-foot tall by 6-foot wide window in here is gonna be just, the view's gonna be beautiful, and you're just gonna have, you know, a lot of natural light coming in. It won't feel enclosed. Plus, you know, you're gonna have a 10-foot tall ceiling over here and a 9-foot tall ceiling over here, so it'll be huge when you're standing inside. And I just want the openness. Now, doing this slanted roof kind of screws us on a few things, especially for putting a loft above. And I've gone back and forth on whether or not putting lofts in this would be worth it or logical. There will be a loft above the bathroom, and that'll be enough for a twin size bed, but I think that's the only loft that's going to be in this. It's going to be mostly of a ground unit, which, you know, even after living in ours, we have a loft above our living room, and sometimes it sucks crawling up to go to bed in this tiny cave. Now, I like the cave feeling. I like the short ceilings. It's actually really something about sleeping in a cozy little cave is just makes you sleep really good. But I sometimes wish I had an actual bedroom to walk into, and I think having a bedroom in this one is gonna be like, I think it's just gonna be real nice. Everything is gonna be a ground somewhat unit, but there will be a twin size bed room above the whole bathroom for, you know, kids. And then you're gonna have the bedroom, which is a queen, and then you'll have the living room, which, if you did the correct couch, you could have a nice pull-out couch. Never pull out. That's how I ended up with a baby. But you'll have a nice pull-out couch, and then you could sleep 2 more there. And I mean, the idea of a tiny house isn't to sleep 300 people inside the thing. It's live to to live cheap, to live simple, and but anyways, yeah, so that's pretty much gonna wrap up this episode. And like I said, that whole build and the rest of the walls will be hopefully next episode. And I'm trying to get these out as much as I can. I promised I'd have one out this Saturday, but today's Sunday, and I still have yet to even fully edit most of it. But we're gonna be switching to the new camera that I got, and that'll make editing really easy, really fast, rather than doing it on this camera, which is the GoPro that overheats constantly, and I have nothing but problems. And then editing GoPro footage sucks. So if you saw my video on my Facebook and Instagram, that was with the new camera, and man, that thing's insane what that thing can do. So that whole next episode will be all this wall, all the rest of the wall, and then I kind of explain what we're doing a little bit more in that. So but anyways, guys, thanks for watching this episode. It's kind of clunky and put together, very not planned, but I think as I go, it'll get better and it'll be a little more smooth for everything. And I just got to be better about stopping and explaining everything that I'm doing, because I'm not good about that. I just assume everybody's in my head with me, and you all are collectively hearing my thoughts, and I forget that you don't. And I have a bad tendency of talking to people about real deep, extensive plans, but then I forget they weren't there and I was just talking to them in my head. So I'll be better about it as time goes. So anyways, thanks guys for following. There is a bell icon that most people probably don't know about that you can hit, so every episode that does come out, you will be able to get a notification on that. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'm not building a YouTube channel to build some crazy fan base or some, I'm not trying to make some crazy amount of money. I'm not trying to, do what people aren't already doing, but I just think, we build a lot of cool stuff throughout everything, from this whole from this whole build on this RV. We went sailing for 3 months in the ocean with no experience, and that was a cool, crazy, fun time. I wish I'd have got more footage and did an actual series on that, but we have a lot of big plans coming up. We have a lot of huge things that we're building out in Oregon, and I think documenting all that's going to be super cool and fun to watch. So again, like I said, thanks for watching and thanks for following, and we will try to get this out on Saturday. I might move the days of uploading these videos to Tuesdays, mostly so I can say see you next Tuesday, and that makes me giggle. It tickles me fancy. And so I might change everything to Tuesdays on uploading video. That gives me time to build on the weekend and then do all the footage Sunday night and maybe Monday, and then I can upload it finalized on Tuesday, and then I get to say see you next Tuesday every time, and I just love it. So and that was my brother Michael's recommendation, so shout out to him for thinking of that. But cool, well, see you guys next Tuesday.